Welcome to the First Crack preview. Thursday night footy on Fox. Geelong, fresh off a bye, take on the reigning premiers down at the Cattery, live from 6:30 as I bring in Daniel Hoyne and David King. Welcome,
Dicko.
boys.
Hoyne. Dicko, great to be here. Kingy.
Hoyne, great to have you. We'll give you first honours here with the changes for Geelong. Two big ins, Stewart and Smith. That's massive.
Oof. Yeah, huge game tomorrow night, and I think you know both of these teams find themselves in that glut of teams 9 to 6 on the ladder. But I think this is a massive, massive game for Geelong. They are at almost basically full strength here, with Brisbane still having a couple of people to come back into their team with Zorko and McCluggage and Coleman and a few others down the track. But Geelong are at full health, and they've lost 3 of their last 4, all by single figures, so they're going okay. But as a result, they now find themselves, just hanging in that group where they should have been a little bit further clear. So expect them to get the job done tomorrow night. And if they don't, their season has gone from 6 weeks ago being probably Fremantle's #1 contender to being in a bit of trouble.
They'll be playing whack-a-mole for the next 8 weeks. Just keeping fifth at bay, just knocking them all in the head as they sidle up, and this is the first chance against Brisbane.
No, I like it. So the Lions are unchanged. You mentioned Horney starting to hit their straps. Did a number on Sydney last week, so we look forward to that one tomorrow night. David King.
Who are you tipping first? Who are you tipping?
Me, I'm going with the Catters.
Catters?
Yeah, Geelong for me.
Oh, no faith in Brisbane, you blokes?
No, a lot of faith.
It doesn't sound that
No
way.
excuses for Geelong.
No excuses. At home, no, I think you might be right.
All right. David King, your first crack.
Well, I'm having a look at the Bombers, like everyone else in the football world is, and wondering what's going on. Why are they so ordinary and so poor? And does this reflect what Dean Solomon's doing? Does this have any role or any association with his aspirations to be the senior coach? And it sort of got me thinking, and I want to have a chat with you guys, is it in Essendon's best interest as a football club to win games now and actually get themselves off the bottom of the table? Or are they better off just being what they are? OK, this is our lot. We're going to try players in different areas. We're going to try youth on ball and see where that takes us, punch some quality positions into these guys to fast-track their development. It might cost them some games. And there are some things we'll look at with their game specifically in a moment. But is it in their best interest to win games? Do you think that's a factor at the moment? Or is Solly's job just to show that he can actually coach and get them over the line?
Good point you make. So moving the magnets around is a great way to say we don't want to win and we just want to, what would you say,
we still
ride the year out a little bit, you know, and see where players can play. And that's a great way without, totally ruling a season off. I do believe that they need to win.
Yeah.
Just to instill something. And I think from Solly's perspective, if he's going to go throw his hat in the ring, you want to see some improvement. You want to see some direction. If behind the scenes they're going, we don't want to win, that'd be news to us because Dean Solomon did come out and say, I want to get my feet under the desk and then I want to win some games.
Yeah, you're any validity to that or not?
I love the Port Adelaide profile at the moment, playing really good footy, sustainable footy, but not winning. And so I think for me it's more how they're actually playing. That's what I'm interested in. And if the wins, I don't think the wins are actually going to come off the back of that anyway. So if I'm an Essendon supporter, I'm sitting there going, pick one this year in the draft that's going to make us a better footy club or give us a better chance longer term, which is where we're trying to head to.
Well, they're easy to play against. And I'm just sort of looking at the uncontested marks side of it is one thing that they allow their opposition a lot. And have a look at what's happened to them in terms of their forward half game. Being difficult to play against, being hard to move the ball against. So you get the ball into your forward line. The best teams, even if you're an average team, even if you're down on talent or injured at the moment, you can still do facets of this. You can still lock the ball in your forward half. You can still create pressure. You can still have a buy-in. We haven't seen that. That's what's got me questioning, are they absolutely revved up and ready to go in this area of the ground? Because the returns just aren't there. So when you let's have a look at what that vision actually looks like. And this, I think, the first place you fall over with your pressure game is your small forwards. They don't roll up, then your half forwards are asked to do much. They don't roll up, then your mids, there's big voids created in the ground. This is one of their boom recruits of a couple of years ago. He can travel, he can run. He spent 10 minutes on the bench at the start of the game, and this is 6.5 minutes later. So he's done a bit of work, but not 20 minutes worth.
Yep.
He's let both those guys go. And they create enormous drive off half-back and get them straight inside 50. Kangaroos have succumbed to pressure over the last few weeks with this facet. So I just watch it and think, OK, this is the same thing. You're jogging up. He's your man now. You've locked onto him. See it through. He's letting him go. The ball's going the Kangaroos forward line. He hasn't moved. Like that's a team responsibility. The rest of the team are relying on you to see that through in that moment. So these are standards that you need to adhere to, or you need to drive home in your meetings if you're really intent on winning.
I agree with you. Those gaps are laziness, and those gaps may be intentional. And if they're intentional, it's like we're actually not trying to turn over this football.
So this is the same sort of thing. So who are you trying to cover there? Corridor or a guy in the back pocket? So they're individual decisions that no doubt they'll coach that player through. But there's so many of them, you think, OK, what are they trying to do? Because I don't think that this would be the system and the plan that Solly would go with next year if he were given the main role. There's no way they'll be playing like this in this method or in this mode, because it is just too easy. I mean, just have a look. There's 3 offside there that just basically walk. And the Kangaroos go right side of the ground. There's an outnumber straight away. Domino effect. Look at them just walking. They're not really... There's no urgency. And I just wonder what they're preaching. If they are trying to win, what are they preaching?
Well, the organisation's everything. So there's no pointing. There's no urgency. The teasing distance really isn't even a factor because they're just walking the ball out with an uncontested game. Look at that. That's the old 3-man weave.
Yeah, it is.
We were doing that 25 years ago to get through and get it into the forward line. From a forward perspective, looking at your numbers, King, I agree with you. It's the easiest thing in the world for your mids to squeeze and your defenders and leave 2 back. And if they get through, well done. But if you transition the ball as a defence against the forward line for Essendon, it should be hard to get through. That is really easy to get through.
If that's not the case, they are trying to win week in, week out. I'm dropping Kako. I'm dropping him off that game to teach that young man that those levels are not acceptable at the Essendon Footy Club.
We're going to show some vision later on Carlton. Carlton were doing something similar in the first 8-9 weeks of the year, and that has completely flipped from a defensive mentality. So it's interesting. I think it's more to do with the individuals as opposed to the
Just
coach
before
himself.
you leave the Kako chat, your role, he gets 8 touches a game. He might kick 2 goals. He should have pressure rating. He should have tackles. He should have that going through the roof. Like the small forwards we see that are elite. They only need 10 touches, 8 touches to kill a game of footy, but a lot of their work is done through the hard work and the defensive side.
And eyeball him if you're one of the leaders down there. So it brings me to the Zach Merrett discussion. So it looks like that they've decided, OK, we're going to put other people in the centre bounce. So that is their call. They're going to go past him unless it's an emergency, like it was in the Melbourne game where they were getting smashed out of the middle, smashed for clearances, really. I think it was 26-13 from clearances at the mid-second quarter in that round 14 game. So he went back in as a mid just to arrest the slide, which I don't mind that idea. But this guy has become a bit of a nothing player. Since he's been moved out of the midfield to half-back. So first dozen weeks of the year, he's top 50. That's great. Good, solid AFL player, probably in the very good bracket, considering there's 800-odd players. Since then, he's dropped to 120th. Now, his ball use is the thing that also is a discussion because even if he is a half-back, he can't be rated 277th in the comp with his ball use. He has to be a damaging player down there, or that's not working for both parties. So it's either another position or put him back where he's strong, get one of your guns going and give yourself a chance to win games.
That there represents the issue for me. The number one issue for me with Essendon is how they're actually playing. Over the last 3, 4, 5 months, no one's going more lateral away from goal than what Essendon are actually going. And that's why you can see that. I didn't mind the Merrett move to halfback, but I didn't mind it if it was going to represent someone like a Dane Zorko who's going to pull the trigger, be aggressive. Bailey Dale, Jack Sinclair, Nick Blakey, these gun halfbackers that actually create and actually open the game up. But he's not doing that. Essendon aren't doing that behind the footy. And if he's not doing that, then he's wasted behind there. If he is doing that, I can understand it. If he's not, no, get him out of there.
Put him back there for damage and they've dumbed him down.
Yep, I agree with that. Get your best player right in the middle of the ground. I want to have a little crack based off your discussion, Kingy, on Solly and the Essendon Footy Club. They're on their search now. They've got their panel together that are all Essendon people that are going to decide the next coach. It can't be. You can't fall into a sugar hit. A sugar hit ain't it. And that's we want an Essendon person to come back and just lift the club up and inspire the club and motivate the club because it'll last 10 seconds. That initial appointment, whether it's Hurd or an Essendon person in Solly, that will be it. But in the interview process, I want a discussion with you guys. There's lots underneath that haven't worked at that football club. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of development that needs to put into these players and it's got to be a holistic approach. It's got to be, okay, what's the strategy going forward? What are you bringing to us that we haven't already done? And clean the place out and get the right people in, because sometimes when you go in and you're patching the people that are still in there and you clear out, there's a lot of Essendon people still in there too, you know, in terms of the footy department. Do you make the call and just go, right, we're going to clean it out and bring all new people in? Because I was part of the change at the Clarkson era where they got rid of all the Hawthorn people. It totally changed the energy of the place and shifted away from that mentality of, hey, Essendon people, Essendon person. But, Hoyne, I might throw to you. Who have they developed, who have they brought on from a development perspective that you would say, well, they've created a really good player out of this?
I think the two that come to my mind would be Sam Durham and Nick Martin, and they have got them not through the national draft, ironically. They've got them in different ways, mid-season draft and then the pre-season supplementary period as well. But, yeah, that next period of the five of, you know, Kako, Caddy, Roby, Roberts, Farrow, and what, you know, there's still plenty of time to be able to play out, you know, for us to sit back and go, are they actually going to be bona fide stars of this competition or not? Because I know a lot gets made of the Perkins, Cox and Reid draft, and that, you know, is probably going to really set them back a few years. But other than the Martin and Durham names, it's hard to really look at it from someone who's come in from the national draft and you've made them into, you know, a top liner of the competition. That might be harsh, but it's it's a tough exercise.
And everyone's critical of James Hird. He hasn't coached and all that, but his personal development and what he's obviously going to bring to that footy club is going to be pretty special. He can coach. Let's be honest. He can coach. And I spoke to someone on the panel that interviewed last time, and they just said he was such a lateral thinker on overseas and how he can develop your methods and your theories and your high performance. So he's forward thinking. You know, it might be the best thing for Essendon, but they've got a long road ahead to select who that's going to be. Daniel Hoyne, we've got the music, have we? No, we don't. The Lion King. Your first crack.
Lion King. I'm not a movie man, as you would know, Dicko and Kingy, but one of the great movies is The Lion King, and Mufasa and Simba. You know, two iconic characters in out of that movie. And my girls back at home, they absolutely love them. Yeah, they absolutely love them. Yeah, absolutely. Got kids watch this movie on Saturday night after the footy just gone by myself. How well's my life going? But Harris Andrews is Mufasa, right? He has been the king of the Lions for the last 10 years, and he's pretty much been the number one key defender of the competition for the last 5 to 10 years. He's an absolute superstar. But Simba, his little understudy, who's not at his own club, is coming through, and that's Connor O'Sullivan. He is tracking like Harris, and he is someone that the competition needs to keep on track. That this guy will be the best key defender in the competition for the next 8, 9, 10 years. We've seen Scarlett come through, seen Ransom McGovern, we've now seen Andrews, Sam Taylor. This guy is setting himself up for that standard. And what he's done over the last 8 weeks, he has now taken over as being the number one man behind the footy and taking the best week in, week out, which is allowing Chris Scott and his flexibility, which is their point of difference, to do different things with Jack Henry, like we saw in round 10. Sam De Koning can now do different things because of what this guy's doing behind the footy. And not only is he taking the best, he's the game's number one interceptor over the last 6 weeks. And have a look at what he was doing, Simba and Mufasa. After 41 games.
On Pride
Look at
Rock.
that. Look at that.
Mufasa.
91 intercept marks to 93. One-on-one rate, identical. So we get to sit back as neutrals tomorrow night, and we get to sit back and watch two absolute young superstars in Connor O'Sullivan and Logan Morris go head-to-head for the second time in their careers. And this is going to... Watch these intercept marks here against the game's premier key forward, Josh Tracy. He took 6 last week. Look at that. I'm just going for it. I'm backing myself against the game. And look at this. This is against Josh Tracy and Luke Jackson. No worries. I'm not intimidated by you. I'm going for it. I'm backing myself. And what he is doing, I think we can all just sit back as footy lovers and go, OK, we've got the next Harris Andrews, Sam Taylor, that we can sit back and watch for the next decade.
Oh, I tell you, I don't know what the policy is. Voss is with us tomorrow night. If I go with Simba and Mufasa on the coverage, what happens?
He'll go, what are you talking about?
They're good numbers, aren't they?
Incredible numbers.
The Cats have a habit of finding them, don't they?
Yeah, and I think, and people want to know how do they actually, stay up there? Well, then you look at Connor O'Sullivan, who's 21. You look at Shannon Neal, who's 22, 23, with Bailey Smith and Max Holmes, who are 23, 24 in the midfield. So, no, just something that I think, that we can just keep an eye on moving forward. He's an absolute up-and-coming superstar.
It's a good one, and Stuart's going to help him tomorrow night as well, so it's going to be a special game. And you know who Mufasa's brother is?
No.
He's Dirty Man. Scar. Yeah. That was when I was playing it. Okay. He was the defender. He was Scar. That was
Scarface.
David King, let's have a look at the Hawks.
Good chat, the Hawks, aren't they? Because they're right there. They're right in the mix to really represent this football club in a meaningful way in a final series. They got weapons, they got talent, they got a coach that's front of the pack with strategy and those sorts of things. But there's been a shift. I heard you talk about this last night. There's been a shift with their desire to get this clearance game right. And we all thought that maybe they were one mid short at the start of the year. Maybe they still are. I don't know. Will Day's come back in and done a great job. So their scores from clearances from 31 points up 8 points to 39. 13th to 3rd. It's a big jump. To find a goal or more is huge in footy. But it has in some way affected or tipped their turnover game a fraction. And I just wonder whether their damage and their punish is still there with their ball movement, like it was. It was their point of difference, their strength. And I always come back to the strike rate. You know I love to do that, Hoyne. Best in the competition, almost 1 for 1 in terms of 98 points per 100 intercepts, down to 73 per 100. Now that's a big drop. First to 7th. If you're in the top 3, 4, I reckon you're making prelim at worst. If you're below that, I think your numbers drop away significantly because everyone can move the ball, everyone can defend that weekend, prelim weekend. So you've got to be able to be competent in all areas. If you're starting the rate below 6 and 7, you're getting some really dangerous areas. Defensive half punish, that's dropped right away. So these are the things that I'm looking for over the next couple of weeks. And I think they've done a great job with their ability to address one problem almost straight away. In terms of the clearances, but they need to be able to sort this other one on the fly.
No, totally agree. He's absolutely on watch because even up until the bye, Kingy, they were 1 offensively in the turnover game and 1 defensively in the turnover game. If you maintain that profile, you're going all the way to prelim at a minimum. So the clearance work, we can all see it over the last few weeks. Tick, tick, tick. Well done. They've clearly addressed it. But what's going on away from stoppage over the last 2 weeks, they're minus 49 in that contested possession phase of the game in 2 weeks. It's an extraordinary drop-off. So, it's only a couple of weeks, but it is on watch for us over the next period of time that doesn't become consistent. Because if it does, don't get too excited about, all this clearance game because the main aspect of the game has dropped away.
Without the Wizard?
I was just going to say, the Wizard's not there. Ooh. Is that a big...
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it'll be a cracking game. The D's will give themselves a chance, I reckon.
Yeah. Offensively, it's going to be a cracker. All right, stick around. Hoyne's going to touch on the Blues, looking for 7 in a row. Who am I? Flamethrowers.
Got it back.
It's coming back, David, at the end of the show. But time now to get to Bernie Vince from PointsBet with his first crack for the weekend.
Thanks, guys. My first crack is Wildcard weekend. And by Wildcard weekend, I mean who is going to finish in those 9th and 10th positions come season's end. I've done my ladder predictor. I've got St Kilda, Collingwood and Gold Coast finishing in 9th, 10th and 11th. But in what order, all depends on some of these games. As you can see, their draws there. Collingwood, well, they must beat North Melbourne. They must beat Carlton and they must beat West Coast. Plus, maybe pinch another game that they shouldn't win. And the Gold Coast, what a fall from grace. Premiership favourites after round 5 and may not hang on to that 10th position, but they have to win these games at home. Collingwood, the Western Bulldogs, and I've got down Melbourne as well. They're going to have to pinch a game away too. Maybe a Carlton away, GWS, or it could come down to that St Kilda game in the final round. But here at PointsBet exclusively, we'll give you $29 if you think Collingwood and Gold Coast in any order will finish 9th and 10th. There's a whole heap more other combinations you can look at in the Foxcatcher Footy Hub on the PointsBet app. Enjoy the footy.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Thursday night footy on Fox. The Cats, fresh off the bye, take on the reigning premiers back into some form, knocking off Sydney last week. Down at the Cattery, it'll be a beauty from 6:30. Stewart and Smith come back in for the Cats, almost full strength. And David King will be right front and square to this one. It will be an absolute cracker. Hoyne, I teased it off the last break. You want to take a look at Carlton. Josh Fraser's got them flying.
Yeah, so we've been doing this for quite a while now, and I can't remember seeing a flip in season offensively, for what Carlton have done in the most important aspect of the game, and that being the turnover game. They were on track at round 19 to be one of the worst teams on record in a season for actually punishing the opposition when they turned the footy over. They were miles 18th in the competition, and now since round 10. They're top 3 in the comp. And, just watching that game against West Coast on the weekend, how they're doing it, it's been a pretty significant shift. And we just alluded to the Essendon conversation before. And cast your mind back to this St Kilda game, 2 months ago. They got completely opened up in the second half where they were in front at half-time and they got rolled by, 30, 40 points. And St Kilda, they were able to score almost 40 points out of their D50. AFL average is 12. And just watch some of this. It's just... There's just nothing to it. There's no energy. There's no intent to press up. It's more of a corralling sort of defensive system. See Nick Newman there almost running away from that St Kilda player there. And then that allows Owens to take the mark, fly on. I could have showed 5, 6, 7 or 8 of these clips. Go forward to last week. Have a look at the intent here to press up and get straight. Look at Chera, bang, straight up to him. Their overlap here. West Coast are almost going to... Here comes Dean out of nowhere. Ooh. No worry. Here comes Haynes out of nowhere. No worries. Here comes another Carlton player out of nowhere. Walsh, the hip and shoulder, out of bounds. D50 transition ended. Then we go to another play here. If you're a Carlton supporter watching this at home, count how many efforts there are to actually front up and actually challenge the West Coast players here. There's one right there. Then West Coast are almost out. Here comes another. Here comes another. West Coast, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Carlton players around there. They're struggling to get out, dump kick out. You think it's almost gone. Might relieve the pressure. Now we fight the fight again. Here comes another one. Right up in your grill. Here comes another one. Right up in your grill. Here comes another one. Right up in your grill. And then eventually holding the ball. How good's that? But Carlton supporters, if you're watching this, be prepared for something like this. So this is a kick-in on the weekend. West Coast go coast to coast. You can see here Carlton are pretty much one-on-one defence, right? They've got everything locked away. There's no easy outs there for Carlton. Keep an eye on Lockie Cowan here. His intent is to get to a West Coast player and intercept this as quickly as possible. Dirkson's lurking to try and do the same thing. It didn't work. As a result, West Coast get the 3-on-1, walk-in goal. You might be sitting there going, how did we do that? You have to live with a few of them every now and then if you are to get the returns that you've had for the last 6 or 7 weeks. Great to watch, and hopefully we get to see more of it for the next 2 months.
I've got to say that first. I got lactic acid watching that first bit. How good was the pressure?
Yeah. Double-figure efforts.
It was incredible and a nice shift to pick up on Hoyne. Who am I, David King?
I love who am I. So since round 10, kicking the ball out from fullback. Now, there's a couple of things I want to do here. Who will be the worst player in the comp kicking the ball out from fullback in terms of turning the ball over and having it go back for a cost?
I've got Riley Bice in my head from last week.
Oh, the two.
Yes, no, he's in there. Let's play some of the vision here because I think we need to have some sort of alert go off when some players go near the footy, right? So Luke Parker's going back to get the footy. I'm saying sound the alarm. All his teammates need to get the ball off Luke Parker. Get there. Where's McKercher? Get down there. Sheasel. Get out of his hands. Fire alarm's going off. I know. You can't let the Slaughterman kick it out of bounds. It goes. So he was number 1. You got this one correct, Riley Bice. Riley Bice is our second contestant. If you see, look, McCartan knows. I'm not letting Bice is going down near the square. The alarm's going off. Oh no! He's thrown it back to him. He wants to get it out of his hands. Kick it to the pocket. No, he says I got better than that. And then turns the ball cold over to the Brisbane Lions. So there's a few guys that when the alarm needs to go off. Parker's the worst, 42% turnover. Bice, 35%. Nick Blake, he's in there as well.
Oh,
a little bit too clever.
Swansea got 2.
Swansea got 2. Wayne Miller and Darcy Byrne-Jones rounds it out. So that's... the alarm needs to go off. I'm going to start sounding it in commentary.
I can't believe how much our graphics have lifted their sound effects. Well, let's finish off with the flamethrowers because that's probably one of my favourites.
We love a flamethrower.
We love a barbecue.
Now, let's get straight to the vision because there's sometimes it's just so... You don't even have to speak sometimes. When you see a teammate completely cinder...
Oh, yes.
Say hello to my little friend. Say hello to my little friend. The flamethrower. Nick Larkey in the square. Easy mark. We got Spargo. Hasn't had a kick for a month. He's in the game. Give me the footy. Send it him. He's filthy. Look at him. Say hello to my little friend. You are now up in smoke. And then we've got Perkins, Archie Perkins. Now, I know you need a goal. Every now and then, you just need one. He's shindered about 8 blokes. Now. Look at Jackie. He's saying, what about me? Torch. I've had a rough year. Ed Allen, through the guts. Eyes lighting up. Oh, this is my time. This is my time. Look at me. Look at the hands go up. Oh, my God. Ed, oh, my man. You don't have the stripes to be cindering blokes at this stage. Oh, welcome back, Flamethrowers.
This has to be every week.
Off the top of the show.
Oh, we'll be able to look. Hoyne, great to have you back on the show. Kingy, tomorrow night's going to be a cracker. That is Geelong at the Cattery, hosting the reigning premiers live on Fox Footy from 6:30.
Say hello to my little friend.